Hey, this is Jamie from Capsule Computers, and today we are reviewing Tom Clancy's The Division 2. This title from Ubisoft is available now for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. At the time of the recording of this video, the game costs $59.99 US or $89.95 Australian on the PC and $99.95 Australian on the consoles. Ubisoft Massive is taking gamers to Washington, D.C. 8 months after the green poison swept through New York City and crippled the world. The capital of the USA is on the brink of collapse as a variety of factions have taken control of the streets. Among the chaos, the President of the United States has gone missing, and the Shade network connecting the individual nodes around the country has gone down. Division agents from the surrounding areas have been summoned to DC to help restore order to the streets and bring back the Shade network. Tom Clancy's Division 2 is a self-contained story set in the same universe as the first game. The story is structured so new players can hop in without feeling lost, while old players will be able to get some updates on the situation in New York City through collectibles spread throughout the world. The main story is straightforward, the twists are generally predictable, but the plot keeps the game moving at a good pace. The more impressive feat is the rich world the writers have created. The side missions and collectibles create a detailed world that gives players a sense of accomplishment as the quality of life slowly improves with the player's help. Tom Clancy's Division 2 is a third-person cover shooter and RPG. The gunplay strikes a nice balance between skill and RPG mechanics. Recoil is more arcade-like, while incoming damage is more realistic. Players will need to use cover as incoming damage will quickly incapacitate. Damage and handling characteristics are mostly managed through the character and weapon stats, however high-skilled players will be rewarded as headshots still deal bonus damage, and there are plenty of high-damage, high-recoil weapons. Mission design is generally straightforward. Main and side missions task players with attacking enemy-controlled areas, usually fighting off a wave or two before moving on to the next area. The odd puzzle is thrown into side missions, while the main missions tend to embrace a dungeon-style design which tries to keep the action going at a quick clip. The strong narratives in the mission and the challenging levels stop the missions from getting boring, even though the actions are generally predictable. The world events provide a little more variety, offering randomly generated bounties and objectives around DC. The skill system is fantastic. Players choose between 2 skills based on 8 available items, each with 3 or 4 variants. The skills are well designed and fill clear niches in PvE and PvP. A few falls flat and will need some tweaking in future patches, such as the underpowered nature of the Firefly and the chem launcher's slightly picky hit detection. None of the equipment ever hit a point where they felt broken beyond repair, but rather were so mediocre there were better options to fill the niche. The item system has seen some significant improvements. Weapon modifications are now unlimited use after an initial craft, behaving more like an enchantment to adjust weapon stats in a predictable way. Almost all wearable equipment has their own manufacturer from the start, with multiple items from a single manufacturer offering increasing bonuses. Equipment and skill modifications are stored separately, clearing up space in the inventory and providing players with more ways to refine their build. In the beginning of the game, players can get away with putting on the highest level equipment they can find without putting much consideration into finishing sets and keeping an eye on stats, but that all changes at the end game. The jump feels a bit sudden, so I would have preferred to see players encouraged to gear better a bit earlier in the game. There is plenty of content in Tom Clancy's Division 2. The main and side missions are enough to just push most players to max level without spending too much time doing world events. The world map is incredibly well done with plenty of nooks and crannies with loot to discover. There never feels like there's a dead space in the map. Players looking for a distraction can also check out the PvP and Dark Zone. The PvP is pretty standard 4 vs 4 layout that is reminiscent of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands multiplayer. Matches are usually short, with higher focus on positioning, tactics, and communication than pure skill. The Dark Zone is more refined compared to what was available at launch in the first game. It still offers tense player versus environment combat, but players have a lot more control over their actions. Players must consciously make the choice to go rogue, so there is no more accidental friendly fire. High-quality equipment in the Dark Zone has a chance to drop as contaminated, requiring players to risk calling in a helicopter extraction and alerting every player in the area that loot is up for grabs. Even if enemy players don't show up, NPCs will attack the extraction point, making for tense encounters. For less PvP-oriented players, the availability of non-contaminated loot that can't be stolen gives players a little more reason to head into the Dark Zone, which makes the environment more like the developer's original vision for the area, where players are constantly in a tense partnership, fighting against NPCs versus a kill-on-sight free-for-all. At the same time, there are more rewards for going rogue beyond stealing loot now with a Thieves' Den. Dedicated PvPers are able to find a rogue-only safe zone with backpacks that can be unlocked with a right Dark Zone skill. The endgame in Tom Clancy's Division 2 is significantly improved over the first game. Upon beating the game, endgame specializations are made available, hard mode versions of several dungeons are unlocked, world activity rates are boosted, and sectors are constantly under attack. The specialization gives players a more focused progression system and a special weapon with extremely limited ammunition. The increased amount of open-world content and the control mechanics breathes new life into the map, offering a feeling of direction and accomplishment to the usual endgame loot grind. While The Division 2 doesn't feel too different from the first game mechanically, it feels significantly more polished. There are tons of small quality of life improvements in the game that make it clear the developers really acted upon the criticisms they received in Division 1. The menus are very easy to navigate, and plenty of tweaks have been made for PC players especially. Special mention is in order for the amount of accessibility options available in The Division 2, as it stretches far past the usual colorblind modes and subtitles found in most AAA titles. For example, there are options for switching controls for left-handed players, text-to-speech options for chat, and tons of options for adjusting the UI. My only complaint is some of the menu keys can only be rebound using the user config files, and the enter key cannot be changed at all. The visuals are excellent. The new map is gorgeous, offering a mix of urban parkland and heavily built-up areas that are slowly being reclaimed by nature. The change of the map always feels natural without any odd or jarring transitions. While there are clear parallels between the two games' factions, the new factions are still visually unique from the previous title. Animations and models are all high quality, looking natural and detailed. The audio experience is solid. The music is enjoyable, giving the game a tense atmosphere. The sound effects are well done. The voice acting is very good. All the actors, no matter their role, deliver a solid performance. Tom Clancy's Division 2 is a well-polished and refined game. Not only is the leveling up experience enjoyable, the endgame has plenty of content to keep players on the loot grind without feeling bored. The game will be a contender when it comes time to determine 2019's Game of the Year. I'm awarding Tom Clancy's The Division 2 9 capsules out of 10. If you want to read this review, be sure to check out the link in the description or in the video's card. I hope to see you soon. This is Jamie from Capsule Computers signing off. Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to Capsule Computers for more awesome videos. If you're looking for more videos to watch, check out our review of Anthem here on the left. If you're looking for another action RPG to play, check out our review of Assassin's Creed Odyssey here on the right.